First things first. Let's figure out the definition of accountability. Can anyone tell me what the definition of accountability is?
I'm gonna give it a shot. Where you're being held responsible for something you're supposed to complete or expected to complete.
Right, dictionary. Good Google fingers there, Speedy.
All it is responsibility. It's accountability. It's responsibility.
Yes, Kevin, that's correct. Right, taking responsibility, being held accountable to your actions. So, I mean, we're responsible to hold ourselves accountable to our own personal goals. And then as an organization, us as leaders are responsible to hold the people below us accountable to the organizational goals, right? And let's talk about a couple of benefits and then the downfalls of the lack of accountability, right? So what do we think some benefits are? Actually, let's talk about the downfalls first. We always want to end on a high. What do we think the lack of accountability happens? What do you think will happen to a team if there's a lack of accountability? I'm going to call on you. That way it's just not multiple people answering at once. Rich, you were pretty responsive this morning. What do you think are some downfalls of the lack of accountability for a team or an individual?
Well, I mean, the first thing I think of is just less money in your pocket. If you're not hitting your goals, I mean, you're not going to get the money you're trying to get. So that, and you're going to get lazy, and you're going to fall into a downward spiral. You're going to lose your momentum, which is terrible.
Absolutely, Rich. So that was the number 2 thing that I had on my list was goals are not met. Excuses then become made, right? So you're moving in the wrong direction. All right, Speedy, give me another thing you think will be a downfall of accountability. What will happen to a team or individual?
It will disintegrate. Pretty much, you're the leader of your team, so if you're constantly not putting out the right habits and efforts, then your team will follow as well as you. So goes the leader, so goes the team.
Right. So you'll influence the people that are followers of you that do it. How do you think you would feel if you were in an organization and you were a peak performer, but there's other people who are inconsistent in performance, but were treated the same? How would you feel? Or if there was no consequences either way?
Well, it's kind of like pointless because everyone's getting the same treatment when not everyone should receive the same treatment if you're a peak performer.
Does it motivate you or unmotivate you?
It's unmotivating.
Unmotivate. Yeah, so that's another point. Team members start to feel that the treatment is unfair. All right, Mo, I'm gonna call on you. Give me one more point of a downfall.
Well, if you don't close the deal, everybody loses. So it goes further than that. There's people within the organization that are feeding their families off of one sale that projects to many. So that's one thing for sure. As far as personal, for anybody, I would say not holding yourself accountable. You're just giving up on yourself. Most importantly, so it goes the leader, so goes the team.
Valid. Do you feel an organization will grow or become stagnant if there's a lack of accountability?
It will be stagnant, and the support will start breaking in the house. So you want to have all 4 supports. You want to have all cylinders active and going, moving forward.
Absolutely. So there's 3 things that I put, and I'm just going to recap the 3, right? So the downfall, lack of accountability. The team feels that there's unfair treatment, right? Goals are not met, excuses are made, and organizations are stagnant and eventually will fail, all right? So let's talk about some benefits. Let's see, who else did we have on the call? G-Money. What do you think some benefits are of holding people accountable or an organization that has accountability?
Well, then you could develop a standard to hold each other to,
and then the overall efficiency of the team, I think, jumps up significantly.
Absolutely. Do you feel goals are met with accountability?
Yes.
Do you feel organizations will grow with accountability?
Yes.
And do you feel like team members will feel that the workload is equal, or do you feel that they would feel that it was still unequal?
Well, if you add accountability to the mix, I feel like they would feel like it's equal.
Absolutely. Right? So the benefits of it also avoids diminishing returns, meaning production and stuff will fall off when it's just one leg doing all the work, right? Your returns will start to diminish when it's unequal. So accountability, as we're discussing, is super important, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, I had like an epiphany yesterday. Like it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I felt like I don't know, man.
Are y'all still on the call?
Yo.
Yeah, I can't hear
I
nothing.
don't know what happened to
Stephon,
Can you guys hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
You back in. Send it.
Okay. What was the last thing you guys heard?
That epiphany got you.
Yep. He got
Right.
hit with
like a ton of bricks.
Right. So I'm like sitting there and I'm looking at the goals that we set as a team. So those who weren't in our team meeting yesterday, right? Obviously this doesn't apply to you, but there's a message for you to hear with this, right? So we're like setting goals as a team. And I'm looking at like our highest person on our team, the person who stepped up and was like, I'm going to freaking exceed the status quo. There was only one guy on the team. I'm not going to single out anyone, right? There was one person who was like, I'm going to do 8. Everyone else on the team was either at the bare minimum of what the standard was, or even we had some leaders say, I'm going to do less than what the standard is for whatever reasons why I'm going to do less, right? And at first I'm like, see, we've been doing all these Tony Robbins and all this stuff and everything's so positive and, you know, great job, this and that. And I've been really trying to, you know, adapt to that type of coaching because like Gio and Mo can probably attest when we first started out, I was like trying to fire people like every week. Gio used to be like, dude, you're negging everyone out. Yeah, you just fired my guy. Like the morale is low. Do you remember that, Gio? Ramon?
Yes.
Right. Yep, I do remember that.
Right. So I'm like trying to be like super positive and stuff here. And then looking at the goals, I'm like, hell no. Like this is some bullshit. I want to apologize to the organization because I'm like a big I'm responsible. I take responsibility for production and stuff within the company. And I have to apologize to Ken because I feel like I've allowed the standard to drop. I went back and I'm looking back in the archives and I remember when we were like going out and had high goals, like Gio, freaking, what is the most sales you've done in one day, Gio?
7.
7 sales in one day. And we had people commit to less than 5 in a week. Mo, what is the freaking most sales you've installed in a week?
Installed in a week?
Yes.
Your
11?
personal, Mo.
11.
No.
Oh, 18.